Hey, Tiger fans, Jeff Sansone coming to you with another Tigers interview. We got a special guest today. I couldn't wait to talk to this player and hear about his perspective and what's going on the court. We have Matthew Knachel. Hey, Matthew, how are you?
Hey, Coach. Thanks for having me. Happy to do the interview.
Yeah, man, I'm glad you're doing it. And you are one of the guys that I really wanted to talk to because you're a pretty private person. I think you keep to yourself a little bit, but I know there's a big personality in there, and I've gotten to know you and really admire you and like you very much. So I'm glad that we get to do this.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, so the fans can get to know you because you are one tough cookie, dude. I don't think I've ever met a guy tougher than you, and it goes back to a long time ago watching you play. But you and I have a shared experience that wasn't so good for you this fall when you broke your arm pretty badly. Do you want to talk about that a little bit just to kick things off?
Yeah, I mean, we're in an off-season game. I was trying to save the ball from going out of bounds. Not exactly sure what happened, but my left arm ended up hitting the wall and then it's pretty clearly broken in the moment. And I remember I passed out and then went to the hospital, saw the x-rays, like bones basically snapped. And then I think 2 days later, I had the surgery and the surgery went well. And then not really much of a rehab, more so just rest and healed pretty quickly. So that's good.
Yeah, really. I mean, you're still wrapped, and I know you're probably still dealing with some pain. And man, that was one of I get. I'm a sensitive guy. I was very upset by that, and I still get upset thinking about what you went through. That was bad, and that's one of the worst things that I've had to experience and seeing that. And I just can't believe how composed you were even through that. I mean, you were just you were tough, and I know you're in shock, and your recovery from that. I mean, you couldn't wait to get back on the court. You were already dribbling the ball right after your surgery. And it's kind of, I mean, I guess it was responsible because your doctor said you could do it, but man, it seemed early to me what you were doing. But I'm so glad that you're back. And interesting the timing of that Windsor game that it got canceled and you weren't going
Yeah.
to be able to play in that first scheduled meeting. And the second meeting you were there. That game was, I thought, awesome. I talked to Dylan earlier about it. I mean, I think you guys won that game on the floor, lost that game on the free throw line. Did you feel comfortable? It felt like that first half was a little fast, a little sped up, and then by the second half you were grooving, man. What take us through that real quick? Like, how did that?
Yeah.
You can't match Windsor speed into practice. How did that evolve for you?
No, I mean, they play different than obviously us and basically every team in the FCX. So it's a game experience that we're not really used to, but I thought we did handle it well. That was one of the most fun games that I've ever played in, despite the ending outcome. And I think we learned so much from that game, both in the sense of like a little bit of a wake up call. We're not just the best team coming in, beating everyone, and the actual experience on the floor, maturing throughout that game. As you said, first quarter, we're a little frantic, playing fast. And then we settled in, went on a huge run in the third quarter. And then, like you said, free throws in the fourth, and free throws the whole game. Just that lost us the game.
Yeah, the frantic first quarter, you guys were up 18-9. And then I think a little poor execution at the end of that quarter, not getting the last shot and
Yeah,
they hit a three. That's just a dagger. I mean, a dagger three in the first quarter is tricky to say that, but man, that went from a 9-point game to a 6-point game. And that I think stole some of your mojo a little bit. And it was cool to see Windsor. I thought to see a team like that come in. It was another game to them. I don't think they felt like, oh my God, this is Ridgefield. I think Ridgefield felt like, oh my gosh, this is Windsor. We have a lot to do here. And it felt like Windsor could go off at any time. And I love the way you guys handled yourselves. I mean, I thought it was great. And I think the more big moment games you guys can have, the better it's going to be for your future as you get down the road in these big games.
yeah. I
Denver,
think
go ahead.
our mindset, like throughout the years, like I've noticed while I've been in the program, like my freshman year, the mindset from them to now, like we really feel that we can play with anyone. We have a chance to win any game we're playing in. And like, it's not like if we beat them, we wouldn't have really considered that an upset. It's just like a pretty evenly matched game. Whereas I remember my freshman year, like that team, they won an FCX championship, but there's some teams in the state where it's like we'd have to pull off a miraculous upset.
That's a great point. Yeah, you guys are I don't know that you're ever the underdogs. Like you said, I mean, the Windsor game, I mean, that was a great matchup. Danbury last night, Danbury team that we know very well because we match up with them in the summer and the fall, and we see those guys all the time. They brought it, like as someone said, this is a big game to them. Like Tigers have a target on their back, and Danbury's got that game circled all year long. They brought a ton of energy. I mean, you guys felt like you had that game. I felt like you guys had that game in hand. It was I think 42-27, a 15-point lead. You guys were rocking and rolling, and then you got called. I mean, we're going to talk about the calls because I love to hear the player's perspective. You got called for a charge there. That was, I mean, you nicked the guy's shoulder and it was called a charge. And that kind of set off, Michalowski had a charge called on him, a couple of missed shots. They made some shots. What was that comeback like? What does that feel like as a player on the phone? It's palpable, the energy coming at you from that Danbury team, right? Jeffers going off, Perkins is going off. How do you settle down in those moments and just get back to the details?
I think it's tough because we always want to play fast. Like we're trying to push the ball, but there's also a balance with they've scored 5-7 straight. We don't want to go fast, take a quick shot, and now they have the ball right back. So that's kind of a balance that we're working with. So I think when we get in a situation like that, maybe they're on a run, we need to slow ourselves down a little to work for as good of a shot as we can get. And even if we don't score, at least keep them out of offensive rhythm for a little, because at that point, like the energy is just building, like you said. I mean, once they're rolling, like it's hard to stop.
Yeah, it was. And, timely timeout by Coach McClellan, I think dampered, put a little bit of a damper on it, but they still came back and they were in that game. I found you last night on the low post, posting a dude up. What was that like? Did that happen in the flow of the game, or you've been looking to get to the low post for a while now?
I'm looking to get in the post. I like posting up. I think I have pretty good post moves, but I don't know. I took a dribble and got called for a charge. Not sure, but I guess something need to work on, but
I get it. And, we talk about it, the officiating is what it is. You can't control it. I think those guys did a good job. You have to look at the body of work, right? And maybe a single call here or there you might not agree with, but how was the flavor of the game? How did they do overall? And I think those guys did a good job last night. I mean, there's a lot of fouls called, and I think they did. Listen, I said it in the broadcast, neither coach was happy at times and players are upset, but I think in the body of work, the referees did a decent job last night and kept the flow going. But you took another hit. Like, listen, you're standing in there and the toughness shows. You absolutely got blasted by Jeffers on a drive and no call. You ended up into the wall and there was no call. And then you got called for a little shoulder rub against you. But then you drew one of the biggest charges of the night with Perkins up top late in the game. You drew that charge and you said you're kind of feeling that one today. What was going on there?
Yeah, I mean, so oftentimes, like if I'm taking a charge, it's not necessarily a flop, but I don't need to fall down like 100%. Like I'm not knocked to the ground. Whereas in this situation, he kind of hit me right in the chest and I wasn't even thinking charge at all. I just went to the ground, landed right on the butt, feeling a little sore, but I'll be all right. So
yeah. You didn't give up the secret sauce there. You're not flop. I mean, listen, I understand.
No, I'm definitely not flopping.
You got to sell it. I mean, you have to take the hit and you have to hit the ground, I think, for referees to call it. And you guys do a good job of that. But I think what you're saying, that last Perkins play, you got rocked. Like that was legit.
Yeah.
You went down hard. But you're really good at it. And I think it's a huge part of your game. Listen, your game, I don't know how to describe your game. How would you describe your game? Let's start there. How do you describe Matt Knachel's game for someone who's never seen you play?
This is a tough question.
Yeah.
I don't know. I say offensively, I'm more pass first / second, shoot third. I think I'm a capable shooter, but oftentimes, I don't know, just doesn't seem to within the flow of the game. Like I'm driving more than I'm shooting. And then defensively, I think I pride myself on pressuring the ball, like getting up in people. Even if I'm not going to steal the ball, just making them uncomfortable, making them work. And then obviously I'm not the biggest kid. So if I'm helping on a drive, I'm not going to be blocking the shot. So naturally the next option, take a charge.
I think that's a pretty good self-assessment. I would also put you as one of the highest IQ players I've ever seen. And you're unbelievably fast without ever looking like you're in a hurry and not being rushed. You cover so much ground. It's really incredible. And I think, I don't know, man, I think you hold some records for shooting in our workouts in the off season. So I think maybe you're underestimating your shooting prowess.
Maybe.
Yeah. Maybe. I know a couple of those drills we do, you have the record, and you've shattered year-long standing records in some of those shooting drills. So maybe Matt Knachel's got to shoot the ball a little bit. What do you think about that?
Maybe. I mean, you're not the only one saying that.
Oh, is that right? Okay. Well, listen, belief is a powerful thing. And when I see you line up to take a three, I feel pretty good about it. You're a trusted guy. If you decide it's time to shoot, I don't think anyone's going to question your decision-making out there. It's off the charts. And the way you have this knack of taking the ball to the hole. What about that play last night? The gather, the continuation call. I'm going to ask you a question, and Dylan answered honestly, and I'll ask you, have you watched the game from last night yet?
I have watched the game.
And did you watch the raw feed or my call?
I watched the raw feed because you hadn't sent your call yet. Because I watched it right after.
That's a senior, folks. The sophomore just said, I watched the raw feed, but you've put a twist on it because Dylan broke my heart. But now that makes sense. I did send the feed late last night to you guys because I kind of understood. I thought that was a continuation immediately. And then there was some discussion, and I thought they didn't call it, and then they did. And then, Coach Block kind of went crazy on that call, but I understood it. Do you think that's a continuation?
I was a little surprised, honestly, because I feel like I'm used to watching the NBA. So, like in the NBA, obviously that's continuation, but in high school, it's a lot more. You kind of have to be shooting when they foul you. And I thought he called the foul on the steps, but I guess it was a little later. And then, so I don't know.
Yeah, what's the
I could have seen it going both ways.
I had Spike Walsh on the mic last night for a little bit, and I should have asked him about that play, and that's my mistake. I thought you were clearly in your gather. You were already on your way to the basket. You were in your shooting motion. I felt like and I said you take these giant long steps, and so it looks weird, but you were shooting to me. So I understood it could have gone either way.
Yeah, I understood it, but I think it could have gone either way.
Yeah, I agree.
Obviously, if it went the other way, I probably would have been complaining. So.
Well, you were doing this immediately. Like you were saying that, count the bucket, I'm going to the line. So I think your instinct was that was good. But certainly you've seen yourself not get those calls too. So I think let's talk about the dynamic of this team a little bit. I mean, you run really deep, really deep. And Coach McClellan talked about being able to play 12, 13, 14 guys without a big drop off, but continuity would suffer. And so you try to keep it to 10 or 11. But it's a deep team. And when you were out, guys stepped up, and you guys have younger players, juniors like Evan Kazdeba, Jordan Katz that fill a role. And then, of course, Alistair Walsh, a sophomore who starts for you guys. A lot of depth here. What's it like? And I guess, how's the team chemistry? What are practices like? What's the inside feel from the Tigers here, from one of their leaders? What's it feel like?
Well, I'd say, first of all, Evan, Jordan, Sosa, from basically not playing any real varsity minutes last year to now being in substantial roles, they've stepped up very, very well. So I feel like that might have been a question mark coming into the season. Like, how are these three guys going to be able to step into their new roles? Same with Jack, forgot to mention him. How are they going to be able to step into new roles? And I think they've done a really, really good job of that. And then for everyone else, they had roles last year, but now it's a new role. It's a bigger role. And then with me being injured, Carson being injured, everyone's had to step up even more. And I think everyone's done a good job of stepping up into a new role. As for our practices, we compete when we can. Like, our coaches are smart about when we're doing like live drills, competitive drills, day after a game, probably not. But whenever we have drills like that, we're really competitive. And I think our practices have a lot of energy. And a lot of times, if there's an issue at all, it's the energy's high, but the attention to detail might be off or something like that. But we compete every day, and the energy's usually high.
Yeah, that's what I love about. I mean, you know how I feel about you guys, and the way you guys compete is off the charts. You guys are a special group of kids, young men now, who really bring it. And I think that's going to help you, serve you very well as you leave high school. What's on the horizon for Matt Knachel next year? Is it a gap year? Is it a school year? Is it a work year? What are you going to do next year, do you think?
It's a school year. So actually yesterday, in fact, I just got accepted to Maryland.
Hey, that's why you got that big smile on your face. Congratulations.
Maryland next year.
Good for you.
It'll be a college year.
Awesome. And I know Maryland was on your mind, and you had gotten in somewhere else, but Maryland was the one you wanted. So that's a huge accomplishment.
Yeah.
Congratulations to you joining.
Thank you.
I promised myself I wouldn't talk about Big Brother, but you're going to be joining Chris at school.
I will.
And that intramural team is going to be pretty sick.
We'll be pretty good.
That's great. Congratulations. That's a big deal. I know
Thank you.
Maryland runs deep in your family. And your family is always there. You've got great support. Mom and dad are at the games. Grandparents have introduced themselves to me when they're at the games. They watch the stream. Must feel good, man. Like to have that kind of support in your family. Chris watches the games from school. He checks in. I'm sure your other brother does as well. What's it like having that great support from the family? I mean, you are, they obviously love you and they support you and it's got to feel good, right?
Yeah, it feels good. I mean, because I was raised in kind of a basketball house out on the driveway, playing with the brothers all the time. So I think to see that, obviously they're no longer playing, but that they still like care and watch, it means a lot. And then it's just like a side note, but going back to my sophomore year playing with Christopher, that was like one of the coolest things to be able to play, win a championship together. That was very, very cool.
That must have been really special. And I remember seeing you guys on the court at the same time a little bit that year. You definitely played as a sophomore.
Yeah.
And that was Chris's, I guess, was that 2 years? So was that the
That's
Trinity
his
year?
senior year.
Was that
Yeah,
the
that was
Trinity
against
year?
Trinity.
Yeah, that was amazing. Did you play in that? You played in that Trinity game, yes?
I did.
Yeah. One of the greatest games ever. I tell everyone that the Wilton Championship was probably the greatest sporting event I have been able to see live. And that Trinity game was incredible. After the blowout they put on you guys early in the season, for you guys to come back and beat them was just really incredible. What do you have on the what do you? I know it's one game at a time with the Tigers, and the next opponent is what, Ludlow this week.
Ludlow, yeah.
But you do have some other games coming up. What do you have your eye on, and what are, for the fans out there, what are the games that they should definitely tune in to watch?
I mean, it's obviously hard not to look ahead, but we're focused on Ludlow for now. And then as we progress, I was looking kind of at the rest of our schedule. I think after all the games from here on out, we're playing all very capable teams. I don't think we're going to have any really like blowout games the rest of the year necessarily. I think the competition is going to be very high throughout the rest of the year.
Yeah, I agree. The FCAC is stacked. When you look at the standings, teams are not getting blown out. I mean, except for maybe some of the bottom, the back of the, what do you call them, back markers. But the rest of it's very competitive. And any given night, I mean, listen, let's not forget, you guys are, young student athletes. Anything can happen. And credit to the Tigers that it feels like, you're favored because you're prepared, and it's Coach McClellan. And, you guys get this great preparation before a game, Coach Wolf, Coach Romeo, Coach Volts. You guys have the real deal staff backing you up. And you players get, for every ounce of effort you put in, you get 10 times that back because the coaches are so attentive to you guys. I don't know. Do you know how special that is? I mean, it's hard because that's all you know. Do you understand how special a situation you guys have, or is it kind of lost on you guys?
No, we recognize how hard they work and how much they care about us, the team. And so it's greatly appreciated. I mean, the scouts that we get, the drills, the plays, there's so much thought that goes into it that every time we step on the floor, we feel like we're as prepared as we possibly can be. We're ready to go. And it's at that point, it's really just up to the players to execute.
Yeah, they've got some credibility. Those banners don't lie. I think you've got, with that whole staff I just mentioned, those are guys that know what they're doing and have done a great job communicating it to you guys. Who coached you in youth? Did your dad coach you in RBA?
My dad coached me some of the time, and then Mr. Mizzarelli coached as well. So cool. They're good coaches.
Yeah, that must have been a fun experience. And I think that's a special time, like when dads get to coach and moms get to coach their kids. And you saw it with your brother's team, like 7 dudes play together. I think you guys have a pretty strong bond, your class that have played together. And it's kind of cool to see. So it's nice to see you guys, come from these little things grow up into these, tough dudes that can play ball. So it's nice to see that progression, and you must feel really good about that. Listen, Matthew, I think I have nothing but great respect for you and what you do. I mean, you're a special player, and maybe those driveway games against your brothers have given you that knack to scoring close. Like so good.
Sure.
You're so good in tight spaces. I think your grandma was writing to me last year just talking about the superlatives I had put on you. She'd send me a note and just talk about, how I talked you up, but it's easy. like, it's easy to talk great about you because I think you're just so great. And so I appreciate what you do, how hard you work, how much you care about this team and this town, and helping, raise your teammates up to be their best as well. So you keep up that good work, my man, and come by and stop by and see us at the table like you did last year after a game if you can.
Of course, thank you. We all appreciate what you do as well.
Oh, you guys, it's easy for you guys, man. Anytime. So we're gonna wrap up, Matthew. But thanks again. Good luck this week, and always cheering for you and the Tigers, my man. All right, be well.
Thanks for having me.
You got it.